Folks, if you're looking at buying yourself a diesel car, or indeed if you've got a diesel car now and it's perhaps experiencing some issues, you need to watch this video. I'm going to talk you through one of the most common issues with modern diesels, and it's issues related to the diesel particulate filter, or the DPF. I'm going to look at what it does and why you get the problems, and importantly, how you can avoid them. And at the end of this video, we'll look at some cars that are particularly prone to issues. The DPF is there to trap and burn off soot particles from the exhaust. That should make the diesel cleaner for the environment, so it's not spitting out so much rubbish into the air. Issues arise when the DPF fails to regenerate properly, and that's often because it hasn't come up to full temperature. Short journeys and stop-start driving are by far one of the biggest causes of DPF issues in a modern diesel car. And that's simply because in a short journey and in stop-start driving, the engine's not getting up to the correct temperature it needs to get to. It's not having long enough to get there to actually burn off those particles, and that causes clogging, and the clogging causes issues. And it's at this point you're likely to get engine management lights coming up on the car, and it can even go into limp mode to try and sort of protect itself. At this stage, get a mechanic involved. Another common issue is with the EGR valve. That's the exhaust gas recirculation valve. If that's faulty or gets blocked up, that increases soot production and can lead to the engine oil getting contaminated with diesel, which obviously then increases wear, and everything starts to go a little bit wrong. Now really, you don't want to get one of these modern diesels if you primarily do short journeys. But if you do a mixture of short journeys and long journeys, a good way to keep things running sweetly is to use premium diesel. Now, no one likes paying for fuel, and when you go to the pump, it's very easy just to choose the cheapest one you can possibly get. But the better fuels have more additives in, and it helps the engine to run a bit cleaner, and that better quality fuel won't produce as much soot in the engine, so the DPF shouldn't get clogged as quickly. Now, like most components in a modern engine, there are sensors, there are software elements, and things that are prone to failure. If they fail, then your DPF won't regenerate correctly, and that can cause a problem. You'll often see that come up as an engine management warning light or a DPF warning light. I think the message across this is, if one of those lights pops up, seek a bit of advice as soon as possible. So let's just summarize this section of the video with a few quick bullet points to make sure that you don't have issues with your DPF. You should drive regularly at sort of motorway speed, so 60-70 miles an hour for 20 to 30 minutes at a time. That gives the car enough time to get up to temperature, to regenerate, and to complete the process. If you're not going to be doing that regularly, don't buy a modern diesel car, or indeed sell the one you've got, because it's a matter of time before you get issues with it. So you'd be far better off in something else. Use really good quality fuel and low ash engine oil. These two things are really key, because if you put cheap products into the car, the exhaust will produce more soot, and that DPF is going to get clogged far quicker. And really, just a reminder that diesel engines with DPFs are not built for stop-start journeys and multiple short journeys. They are really meant to be driven at sort of motorway speed and motorway distance. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your next car. And if you've got one and you see a DPF light come on or an engine management light on, do not ignore it. Dealing with it quickly could be the difference between life and death for your engine. Right, let's have a look at some cars that are known to have problems. I mean, most diesel engines with DPFs suffer issues. It's just the way it is. But there are some that are sort of more prone to it than others. Typically the 1.6 diesels, you get the turbo diesels, you'll get those in Peugeot, Citroën, Ford, Volvo, Mini, VW Group. They're all pretty prone to it. Now, they can all be really quite efficient and put out some decent numbers, and you find the car sort of really attractive for those reasons. But a lot of these cars do suffer issues more than perhaps some others. So keep that in mind. The 1.6 diesels can be particularly prone to it. Another one's the 2-litre TDI that's in the VW Audi group. So that's Skoda, Seat, Audi themselves. The EA189 and the EA288 are the main problems here. You'll get that in Golf, Passat, Tiguan, Transporter, A3, A4, A6, Leon, Ibiza, Octavia, Superb. And basically regeneration issues are a problem on those. Oil dilution is a problem, EGR and turbo problems, and the EA189, which was one of the Dieselgate engines, if you remember Dieselgate, when that was a massive thing and huge news, that was one of the worst ones. That's pre-2015, but the new version of that engine, sort of post-2015, so the E288, that's still prone to clogging. So again, not a car to have if you're doing loads of short journeys. The 1.3 CDTI multi-jet, you'll find that in Stellantis cars, basically Fiat, Opel, Vauxhall. You'll also get it in Suzuki's. The Fiat 500, Panda Doblo, the Opel Vauxhall Corsa, Astra, Combo, Suzuki Swift, the SX4. Small engine, big DPF issues is the headline there. The small 1.3 litre engine doesn't generate enough heat for effective DPF regeneration, fails in city driving, so forget about one of these if you're doing city driving. And a lot of people might get one of these for city driving, so it's a 1.3 and they think, oh, that's going to be economical, etc. Expensive fixes, forced regeneration often doesn't work, leading to costly DPF replacements. That can be very, very costly, and a horrible choice for city driving. The 2.2 Skyactiv diesel in Mazda can also have some regen issues, and the 2 litre Ingenium diesel engine from JLR is one of the most notoriously horrendous diesel engines produced. And I mean, they've got a crazy failure rate. So I would avoid one of those anyway, probably. But certainly if you have one of those, it's going to be prone to DPF issues and going into limp mode, etc. Folks, I hope you found that interesting or useful, probably more useful. This is a massive issue that loads of people are unaware of until it happens to them. And I want to make people more aware of it. I often mention this in my videos, but I think just putting a standalone video out there might help some people to discover it, and it might answer some questions to some people with diesel engine cars at the moment that are having issues, or they've seen lights come up and they're just leaving it and hoping it goes away. Don't do that, folks. Forewarned is forearmed and all that, and I'm not saying diesel engines are rubbish and no one should have one. You know, diesel's still the best thing to get if you're towing, if you're doing huge motorway miles every day. You know, diesel's not too bad at all. So I'm not saying that, I'm just saying get a diesel engine if it suits the use case, and don't get one if it doesn't, because it will cost you money. You can find more information about this on my website, notaguru.co.uk, where I've written a blog post all about this, and it goes into a tiny bit more detail. You can also find used car buying guides and all sorts of wonderful, useful stuff. And of course, if you head over to Amazon, you can find my book on buying a used car in the UK. Avoid scams and find the best deals. That's $6.99 in paperback form, or you can get it on Kindle for $3.95. If you'd like to do a free trial of Kindle Unlimited, use the link in the video description and you can get it for free. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please give the video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Huge thanks to all my channel members for your continued support. I really do appreciate it.